24. We have in attendance with us this evening the following city officials.
Mayor Jamie Slutes.
Here.
Safety Service Director Renee Baker. Here. Law Director Justin Richard.
Present.
Chief Counsel Earl Wise Jr.
Here.
City Engineer Alex Pitts.
Here.
Director of Development Ted Hernkane.
Here.
Police Chief Jason St. Noy.
Here.
And I believe that's it. Is there anyone from administration I missed? That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 5 on tonight's agenda is where the public can speak on any item that appears on the agenda. And then under number 17 is where the public can speak on an item that does not appear on the agenda as well. I want to remind everyone with a cell phone at this time to please turn it down or set it on vibrate. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Brian Huth.
Here.
Creamer.
Present.
Cunningham.
Present.
Gregg.
Here.
Harwick Smith.
Here.
Lewis.
Present.
Lombardi. Hackley.
Here.
And Ray.
Here.
Roll call of 8 present.
Councilman Lewis,
I'd like to make a motion that we excuse Councilman Lombardi.
second by Councilwoman Cunningham. Roll call, please.
Creamer.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Gregg.
Yes.
Harwick Smith.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Hackley.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
And Brian Huth.
Yes.
8 yes to excuse Councilman Lombardi.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tonight's invocation is by Councilman John Packley. Thank you, Councilman Packley. Item number 4, reading of the journal. Madam Clerk, are the minutes of the previous meeting transcribed and open for public viewing?
Yes, they are.
Are there any additions or corrections that need to be made?
No, there are not.
If not, then the minutes stand approved as written. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 5, remarks of delegations and citizens to matters on the agenda. This is the part of the agenda where the community may come forward and speak on a topic that appears on the agenda. If you'd like to speak on something, please come forward, state your name, the ward you live in, the topic you wish to discuss, and please limit your comment to 4 minutes or less. Please keep in mind there will be no personal attacks on anyone present or non-present. You may, however, address departments or positions. Please remember that this is not a question-answer session, and when you have finished, please sign the sign-in sheet on the counter and leave any prepared statements for our records. Is there anyone?
My name is Dan Fonte. I reside at 4415 Donwood Circle Northwest in Canton, and I live in Ward 8. I'm here to speak in opposition to repealing ordinance number 31-20-11. What I want to speak on is basically what I read in the newspaper and what I know about this ordinance. This ordinance was passed in 2011, and now this is 2024, and we're going to repeal the ordinance. To my understanding, this was only used a few times. And another thing from reading the papers, this ordinance is costing the city money because of the reading of the attachments to it, to what contractors have to adhere to. Well, that's basically not true. If you've only done it on a few projects, you should be able to list the projects that come in higher because of this and some that didn't come in. Because because a number of factors enter into a public position here, or a building, or what you're going to build. Number one, you got to have prevailing wage. That's state law. So everybody has to make the prevailing wage for the particular trade they're working in. Number two, you have to have licensed contractors and journeymen in the plumbing and pipe fitting field and the electrical field. So you just can't bring anybody in here. So to me, I think this resolution here is trying to find a solution for a problem that doesn't exist, because number one, I don't think there was enough research done, or there should be done, to council to say, here's 8 projects that we could have brought in under what should be because of what this ordinance says. So I think, to me, I think you're not making any suggestions on anything, and you're not going to solve a problem, because there's so many things that's going on here that goes into a construction project. You know, all your apprentices are all registered and trained. You don't know if that's going to happen. You get somebody in here, who's going to police that? You know, you have to appoint a prevailing wage coordinator. That's your job as the owner of the project. You have to appoint somebody to be the prevailing wage inspector and adhere it on this project, or any project you do, to make sure everybody's getting the right pay. So to me, I would hope council would look at this, look at any information the author has of where he or she can prove that this cost the city money, and if you can't do it, let's just move forward, and let's do some more project labor agreement jobs, and the city and the citizens will be better off. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Did you sign this sheet, sir?
Short memory, too.
And if you could, please print.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to speak. My name's Dana Schanauer. I live in Marlboro Township, which is a township in Alliance, but I work in Canton. I am the current president and also the training director of Local 94. I'm glad that Dan didn't hit on it, but what I'm here to talk about, and I'd be more than happy to speak more in private, public, whatever, is registered apprenticeships. Dan brought that up. A registered apprenticeship, which I can tell all the different labor locals that are here, we are registered apprenticeships. We are registered with the United States Department of Labor, all the way up there. In Ohio, we're governed by what's called OSAC, Ohio State Apprenticeship Committee. They give us our guidelines of what we have to do with apprentices. Every year I have to submit to OSAC. My apprentices are going to go to school X amount of hours a year. They're going to get X amount of on-the-job training to become skilled journey people. They work hand in hand with journey people out in the job. OSAC and the Department of Labor is a good way of looking at it, is those apprentices watchdogs. Unlike other entities out there that claim to have an apprenticeship, they really aren't. If you're not registered, you don't have an apprenticeship. Our apprentices get pay raises that are governed by the state. I submit to them, if apprentice A does this and this in this time frame, guaranteed that apprentice is going to move up to the next pay level, the higher benefits, and the following year of school. It's a win-win for everybody. As our older people retire out, we have younger people coming up to replace them. And I hate saying it, I wish I would have had more time to prepare. I'm here to tell you, out of my 90 apprentices, easily 40% of them live in Massillon. So not only are they working on these PLA jobs, they're getting an honest paycheck, they're putting money back into the city by doing this. Just a little bit of the time involved. Local 94, our apprenticeship program, they are required to get 1,500 hours a year work experience. That's on-the-job work experience, 1,500 hours. But also, in turn, they're required to get 252 hours a year of schooling. Myself, I don't want to speak for the other trades here, we all have buildings that we train our apprentices in. Other entities, I know for a fact because we've caught them out on jobs. They're paying these young people either 990s or they're paying them cash under the table. You guys aren't seeing a dime of it. We are the real deal. Mr. President, thank you for your time and allowing me to speak.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity to present to council. My name is Brian Williams. I am a representative of the Associated Builders and Contractors. This is a commercial construction association that's been in existence for 75 years throughout the country. There are 3 chapters in Ohio, and we're in the Northern Ohio ABC chapter area, and which is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year as a chapter. Our organization recruits and trains the workforce, the commercial workforce of today and tomorrow. And like the previous speaker said, we too have programs, over 20 apprenticeship programs that are certified by the U.S. Department of Labor and the Ohio State Apprenticeship Council to provide those. So the training that the folks who work in our member companies have is identical. It's certified by the identical certification organization that the unions use. Project labor agreements are not in the city of Massillon's best interest. They're never in the city or community's best interest in our view, because they do essentially 3 things. Number 1, they reduce competition, and studies have demonstrated that they increase costs by 9 to 20%. I'm going to give you 3 recent nearby examples in Ohio to demonstrate that. But PLAs also discriminate against the contractors in your city. Most people are very surprised to understand and to learn that 85% of the commercial construction workforce, that's the workers that do the work, are members, are employees in companies that are called merit shop. They aren't in a company that is labor affiliated or union affiliated. When you enact a project labor agreement, you're telling 85% of the construction workforce that are located here in Stark County, in Massillon, or wherever they come from, you're telling them that essentially that they can't bid on the work that their taxes in many cases help to support. And the other thing that you're saying is that by having a project labor agreement, you're effectively making it impossible for merit shop or non-union companies to bid because of all of the barriers they must confront, and therefore they don't bid. And what you're also telling them is that not only can they not work where their taxes may or may not be going towards that project, but you're also telling them, you're telling the 15% that can bid that the bidding is going to be limited, therefore they can raise their price. And that's exactly what happens. Proponents of PLAs like to claim that they have a high quality work, and I'm not going to dispute that. But that doesn't mean you can't have a high quality work without a project labor agreement. That is a red herring. 26 states in the United States actually prohibit the use of project labor agreements as a part of their public construction. And you couldn't guess which of the 26 states they are, because the quality of their public construction isn't any better or any worse than it is here in Ohio and here in Massillon. So Ohio's public bid law has many layers, and we heard a couple of them from previous speakers in terms of prevailing wage and other requirements that in OSAC and Department of Labor certification. But let me give you 3 examples of recently. In 2013, I'm going to leave this for you, for the council members to read, and it's the second page. In 2013, the city of Lorraine, which enacted a project labor agreement ordinance in 2011, repealed it for the very same reasons. In fact, the Lorraine Journal said the mayor's plan helps Lorraine by encouraging more companies, both union and non-union, to bid. This increases competition for the city's work and for using local labor force. That's the other thing that many people don't understand. When project labor agreements are required, not only does the number of bidders go down, but the likelihood that you're going to be using out-of-area contractors goes up. In 2010, Ohio put out a multi-million-dollar bid for the School of Death dormitories. When the bids were over 11% over the bid amount, which meant by law they had to be rebid, the state put that same project out to rebid without a project labor agreement. Instead of getting 4 bidders, they got 13, and the cost of the bidding the first time was 13% over budget, and when they did it before, it was 7% under. That was a 20-point swing, and they got 14 bidders the second time. In 2021, just nearby Akron was redoing the the Akron-Fulton Airport lighting project. They had a project labor agreement assigned to it. They put it out to bid. It was 11% over bid costs. They rebid it without the project labor agreement at a I want to give you these dollar amounts correctly, a $547,000 project, which was rebid, came in at $456,000. The first time when there was a project labor agreement attached to it, $622,000. That is a 30-point savings, 30 percentage point savings of the cost of doing that project for the city of Akron, and that job has since been completed. It's clear, it's axiomatic. Whenever you reduce the number of people that are qualified to do, or that are allowed to make a bid, you are going to have fewer bidders and you're going to have more expenses. That is not in the taxpayer's best interest in Massillon or anywhere. It is not uncommon for communities who enact PLAs to later come back and realize that they've tied their hands and they're not serving the local taxpayer's best interest, and they get repealed. The most recent repeal that I know of in this region is the city of Lorraine, and I encourage you to talk to, thank you, I encourage you to talk to your neighbors so that they can tell you what their shared experience has been.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, my name is William Scheer II. My address is 4670 Fraser Avenue, Northwest, Canton, Ohio, 44709. Mayor Slutz, it's an honor for me to be in your council chambers. I'm Bill Scheer, I'm the mayor for the city of Canton. All I can do is, what I want to do tonight is just tell the council members what our experiences over in Canton have been with PLAs. So for well over the last 16 to 17 years, we've been doing PLAs, and we've done hundreds of PLAs in the city of Canton. While I appreciate all the comments by some of the speakers, I do disagree with the previous speaker that PLAs are in the best interests of any community that uses them. When you talk about how a PLA is structured, this is not the building trades PLA that we utilize over in Canton. It is the city of Canton's PLA, and we can cater that and craft that PLA any way that we want. We want to make sure, and I want to make sure, that we're getting the best contractors out there that we're going to give us our biggest bang for the buck. PLAs can be crafted that, you can have certain, local participation, minority participation, making sure everybody's drug tested, making sure that that the workers working on that project went through a bona fide apprenticeship program, and the list goes on and on. Currently, right now with the city of Canton, any project over $75,000 is a project labor agreement with the city of Canton. And just to name a few, we just built we're working on a new sanitation building, which is under a project labor agreement. That's a $6.7 million project. Our water backshop renovation and expansion for our water department is $4.6 million under a PLA. Our water department, Sugar Creek Township, where we pump the water up 18 miles to the city of Canton from Sugar Creek Township, is a $37 million project under a PLA. Our health department renovation is $1.7 million, which is also under a PLA. The Allen Avenue and 4th Street Southeast sanitary sewer is a $7 million project. And even alone, just a paving contract that we have for the city of Canton, and by no means, I would never come over and try to compare the city of Massillon to the city of Canton, but our paving contract alone is $5 million, which is all under a project labor agreement. All these projects have been completed on time and under budget. One thing that is good for the city of Canton is that when we bid these projects, there's no work stoppages at all. So let's just say that a labor union would happen to go on strike during negotiations. And I want to stress this, that there are no work stoppages under any PLA that we've done in the city of Canton. I would imagine the language would be the same. Now I want to address some comments that I have heard that it alienates certain contractors from bidding work. We have never had an issue getting contractors to bid over in the city of Canton. That has not been an issue at all for us. And I want to also stress this, to give an example. So we did have one project, okay? We had one project which was a park shelter down to Southeast Community Center. We've had numerous projects where union contractors were successful in bidding that job, and non-union contractors. And it's been seamless for us. So we had a park shelter down to Southeast Community Center that it was a $450,000 park shelter that we literally just couldn't get anybody to bid on it. I mean, even the bigger contractors that they were busy, maybe it was low-hanging fruit for them. A non-union contractor they were successful in bidding that job. And it's one of the best park shelters that we've ever built in the city of Canton. And it's been seamless for us. I would be if any council member would have any questions, I would be more than willing to sit down with any of you to answer any questions about how the experiences have benefited the city of Camden and the projects that we have worked on. And I just want to thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I got to get back to work. I got a council meeting too.
Hello, Mr. President and Council. Thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is Mike McElfresh. I reside in Jackson Township currently, but my wife Becky and I raised our 4 sons here. 3 of them are here in the room. 3 of them are building trades members, and they're a product of Washington High School. And Washington High School stands for the best of the best. Just like our city police force here, our fire department, our street department, they're all unionized, and I'm sure you can all say they're the best of the best. So to say that you're unionized isn't necessarily a dirty word, okay? It just shows that we put our full faith effort in our full training of our apprenticeships, and they bring out the best of the best, and that's what this city deserves. And I think it would be good if council would table this at this time so that you could do more research and talk with the folks. You can talk with the folks from ABC if you like. You can talk with all the business managers and training directors that are here. They'd love to take you through the training facilities so you can get a clear background of what the building trades bring to the city. So you've only used it 3 times. This really hasn't been tested in this city. It's 2011, so give it a chance to work. Go back and see how it works out. So once again, please table this so that you can get a full, clear picture and understanding. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Mr. President and the council, for letting me speak. My name is Jake Croston. I live at 2951 Richmond Avenue, northeastern Canton. I'm the business manager of Laborers Local 1015, and I represent hundreds of men and women, working men and women, that work right here in Starr County and Massillon. I'm not going to take a lot of your time and repeat the same things that everybody's repeated, but I want to drive the fact home that this does not lessen competition, it increases competition. Any union, non-union contractor has been said here already is welcome to bid. Our budding trades that we sign PLAs that we're granted through the city of Canton, like Mayor Scheer said, we sign as many for non-union as union. Everybody has the same opportunity. What it does, though, it increases the productivity and the craftsmanship on the job. There are certain requirements, apprenticeship requirements, standards. You got to be trained. You got to be qualified. It does do that. You're right about that. It does do that. I think that's a good thing, though. Any customer, any city ordinance, anybody doing any project, I would certainly think that you'd want the most qualified workers on that project that you could have. And these are men and women. It is not out-of-town contractors most of the time. It's actually local contractors that employ local men and women that live here, pay taxes here, raise families here, vote here, they have their lives here. This is what they do. That's who most of these are employed by. PLAs are a great thing, as it's been said. We've done hundreds and hundreds at Canton with the city of Canton. It's benefited everybody. As also has been pointed out, Massillon hasn't done many PLAs. So the rush to have this resolution to make it to where you can never do PLAs or something, I don't understand. I agree, I think it should be tabled, more research done. I'm sure anybody in this room would be happy to answer any questions, and I think you guys will find that it's a great thing for the city, a great thing for the community, and a great thing for the men and women that work in that community and live there every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening, Mr. President, Council, Ed. My name's Paul Britton. I live at 701 Sherry Avenue, Northeast, Massillon. Just to give a backstory, I went out of high school and went in the military, did 10 years, got out, subcontracted for a long time, for like 12 years, and really never got a direction. I got a degree, did some electronics repair. That wasn't me. I was an infantryman, office works, not my thing. I had a friend from the rec center, where that's my place now. That's my home away from home, who introduced me to Local 94 and said, maybe this is for you. It gave me the ability to learn, the basis of my job. And over 5 years, it taught me how to do, my job, not completely, because at the end of 5 years, you always have more you can learn every day. I don't get on a job and think I know everything. I get on a job and prepare for the day and see what unfolds. I'd never owned a house before, but when I decided to, this was my decision, Massillon. So, yeah, that's why I'm here, because of Massillon. It was never on my radar. I grew up in Zanesville, New Concord, a little bit away from here. But, as life unfolds, things happen. I was brought here, and when I bought my house, I bought it here. I didn't buy it in Canton. I didn't buy it in Brewster. I bought it in Massillon, because this is my home. And, unions bring a lot. I'm able to afford my home because I'm in this union, because I have a job every day. If I get laid off, I'll go somewhere else. But at no point was my training ever good enough. You don't just get training and, well, you're good enough, you can do this part of your job. It's an overall whole job. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Chairman, Council. It's a pleasure to be here again. My name is Jerry Durio, President of East Central Ohio Building and Construction Trades and Business Agent for Local 33 at 1840 Venture Circle, Massillon, Ohio. I just want to tell you, first of all, I believe there's some advantages to being old because you remember a lot of things. So when you do some comparison about things, one of the previous speakers was talking about the airport job, the lighting job. So when you do a project labor agreement, sometimes they go back in when they're over budget after the initial bids go out. They come back in. They do what's called value engineering. That's not good for the end user, which is you. That's usually gets you under a number, a budgetary number, but you can do it. What you want to do it, if you do value engineering, there's certain areas to do value engineering. It's not in the high-tech inspected places. It's places where they're low-hanging fruit that you can go back and take out things. So what I would tell you is you want to do that with the most experienced person you can. I would tell you that 1890 Venture Circle, and I invited all of you up there. I expect a phone call or a knock on the door one day to come up and see it. We have 102 apprentices up there right now, represent 700 area workers here. They're not transient workers. They're not coming in from all over the place. They're here. This is their home. We believed enough in Massillon, and it was Mayor Ciccinelli that made it all happen for us at that time. And I would tell you it was one of the best moves we've ever made. It's a great place to be. The police force has always been supported. We're a part of the community up there. We let all the boosters come in. We've had proms at our hall. I mean, you really need to come and see our hall. This is a major investment that's tucked away back in the cornfield. But the training that gets put there is just what the gentleman before me said. It enhances your life, the young people's lives. We did 3 days at Summit County Fairgrounds, Akron Canton Builds. We had 2,500 students go through 53 schools. That's what it's all about. We want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to come in and earn a good living, because you don't just get a union job, you get a job that supports your whole way of life. It's not just one person, it's your whole family. So the healthcare is a big problem. It's solved with us. You don't have to worry about any of that. So I would tell you that I think you do need to look at all of it, but please table it. And if you haven't utilized it yet, let's try not to utilize it now, or let's sit down and craft a legislation or a PLA that's comfortable for the city of Massillon, and let's try one out. Let's kick the tires on this thing, because I would tell you, you're not going to lose. The residents are not going to lose on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on.
Hi, good evening. I promise I won't keep you all. I know it's getting late already. My name is Hannah Cubbins. I'm the Legislative Director for Americans for Prosperity Ohio, AFP for short. We're a nationwide organization that believes in empowering the individual to accomplish their version of the American dream. I want to thank the council for the opportunity to provide positive or supportive testimony on ordinance number 99. Usually my work is in the State House, keeping those folks in line down in the House and the Senate, but there hasn't been the leadership or the initiative to take on this issue, and so I commend the council for having this discussion at the local level, because I do think it's important to tackle the anti-competitive, costly policies to the taxpayer. So our objective in the employment space, other than just being very rooted in the free market, is to advance policies that best advance labor freedom. And we want to increase personal choice for workers to stop limiting these type of mutually beneficial relationships between businesses, employees, consumers. I could go on and on about how governmental laws and regulations hinder innovation or are harmful to the employment space, but in the interest of time, I'll just stick to 3 points that we take issue with in terms of PLAs. As one of the former speakers stated, these government-mandated PLAs exclude roughly 85% of the U.S. construction workforce. And so they really do discourage competition. The numbers are there. They maintain protectionism over those who do belong to a union, thus hindering competition in that space. And if a private company does want to bid or submit a bid on one of these PLAs, they can, sure, but the dues, the taxes, the pension contributions all drive up costs for them, making it not a super wise business decision. So I'm the opinion that government should always be looking for ways to be more responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars, and I think taking a closer look at this system and potentially getting rid of it would be a great service to make sure those dollars are spent wisely. So I will keep it short and sweet and leave it with that. Thank you.
Again, council, thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. My name is Brett McElfresh. I was here a couple weeks ago. I'm a Massillon-Jackson resident, graduate of Washington High School. I had emailed out to the city council, which I know they all received, a comprehensive document regarding PLAs and exactly where we resource our information from, case study, legal law. First and foremost, yes, this should be tabled. Secondly, I just want to clear the air.
collecting union dues from somebody who does not want to have union dues taken from them would be a federal crime. We do not commit federal crimes in those capacity. So I would encourage everybody to do their due diligence and actually show where they're resourcing their information from, as we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
President, Council, thank you everybody for allowing us to speak here. I'm not going to act like I'm a professor in economics. I'm a young guy, I'm 30 years old. I've been in building trades since I was 18 years old, this is all I know. I've worked for many contractors throughout the years, and I definitely think this should be tabled because of my experience working through contractors versus union, the safety aspect, the career, the brotherhood, it's unmatched. So if you get, I understand if there's when it comes to bidding, it may be cheaper. You may get, just as good product when it comes to the construction, but what we provide is safety. I mean, just in the last couple weeks, I've done 50 hours of OSHA training. Everybody that I work with by my side looks out for me and I look out for them. I don't think you can get the same from non-union contractors. I think that they look to make their money on the top end, and then people like me, the worker, don't get the benefits. We don't get the good pay rate. This is what has given me a life, allowed me to buy a house, allowed me to live here in the great city of Massillon, where I also pay taxes. Like I said, I can't speak professionally. I do a lot of business here. I'm also a bondsman here. So I love this place. I'd love to be able to continue to work here. I'd love for fair wages for everybody as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not a very good speaker either. My name's Lance Holman. I'm a lifetime resident of Massillon, Ohio. Played football for Massillon, went to school with some people here. And I worked for 17 and a half years at a non-union shop in my trade. And then I was wise enough to switch over to union 14 years ago. And I'm not going to get into the bidding or what makes money or what don't. Like the previous gentleman said, the working environment, the brotherhood, the safety, being taken care of, not having to worry about your family having insurance. It's all covered under our union agreements. And I just wanted to speak my piece, and that's about it.
All good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Short and sweet. Oh, Lance. Anyone else? All right. Moving forward. Item number 6, new and miscellaneous business. Councilman Lewis.
I just wanted to take a moment and thank everyone for their comments tonight, but also out of respect of everybody's time. I don't know what people's schedules are. I just wanted to assure everybody that no action will be coming tonight. So if you did have a prior commitment, we will not be insulted, but you're also welcome to stay the entire meeting. I wanted to assure everyone in this room tonight, no action will be taken with issue ordinance number 99. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7, introduction of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 101-2024.
An ordinance amending Part 5 General Offenses Code, Chapter 505, Animals in Fowl, of the codified ordinances of the City of Massillon, Ohio, by enacting Section 505.18, Enforcement by Animal Control Officer, Powers and Duties, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Gregg.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a piece we discussed once in work session. Its purpose is to clarify and more perhaps more fully delineate the actions and responsibilities of the animal control officer. Is there any discussion or questions on this evening? Seeing none, I move that we waive the rules requiring 3 readings and bring ordinance number 101-2024 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Harvick Smith. Roll call for suspension, please.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Hackley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
and Creamer.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage, please.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Hackley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
and Cunningham.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 101-2024 has passed. Ordinance number 102-2024.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into a project agreement with the Board of Stark County Commissioners for the Cherry Road Northwest Bridges Rehabilitation and Improvement Project.
Councilman Packley.
Yes, I'd like to bring up Mr. Pitts to discuss the ordinance.
Good evening, Council. Yes, so this is, as the ordinance states, to enter into a project agreement with Stark County for the improvement on Cherry Road for the 2 bridges along there. So our involvement will be at the intersection of 3rd Street and Cherry, including widening of that intersection, new curb ramps, sidewalk, guardrail, and just improvement of 3rd Street. So that's where our involvement lies, not with the bridges themselves, but mainly at that intersection, so.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Councilman Lewis.
Essentially, what this is saying is that we're coming to alongside the county as far as being financial partners for the portions of the project that would be our responsibility as compared to them being responsible for the bridges.
Correct, yes.
Councilman Harvick Smith.
So we'll be getting our own estimates for this, or they'll be bidding the whole project and doing all that, and we're just part of it? They're the ones taking care of it, or will we be having to get bids for our area of it on 3rd Street?
They're going to be taking care of it as one unified project. Once,
We're just have to pay the money towards that, so they're running the whole project.
if the project goes over, that's when we will. So far as long as it's a part of 3rd Street, that intersection, then we will reimburse the county at that point according to the project agreement, so.
So, just wondering, is this going to be a PLA?
I do not know. I do not know how.
Because it's a huge project, huge, and it's like, whole county-wide, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not out for bid, and it's also not.
Not our
completely-
decision.
Yeah, it's Stark County, so I don't know how their contracts are set up. So that would be a question for them. I can ask them. But we're at 90% design with that project. Well, Stark County is. We're at stage 3 review, so, but yeah, when they go out to bid, I can surely ask, so.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to waive the rules requiring 3 readings. Sorry, to bring order for ordinance number 102-2024.
Second by Councilwoman Creamer. Roll call for suspension, please.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Hackley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
and Cunningham,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage, please.
Lewis,
Yes.
Hackley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Harvick Smith.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 102-2024 has passed. Resolution number 26-2024.
A resolution requesting the Stark County Auditor and the Stark County Treasurer to make an advance payment to the City of Massillon, Ohio, of real estate taxes collected by Stark County on behalf of the city during the 2025 fiscal year and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes, this is an annual resolution that we complete. It's essentially just asking the Stark County Treasurer to pay us the real estate taxes that we are to be owed and to do so in advance of collection, so that we can use it for our budgetary and expense purposes. Are there any questions this evening? Seeing none, I make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bring resolution number 26-2024 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call for suspension, please.
Packley?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Brian Huth?
Yes.
Creamer? Yes. Cunningham?
Yes.
Gregg?
Yes.
Harwick Smith?
Yes.
And Lewis.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage, please.
Ray?
Yes.
Brian Huth?
Yes.
Creamer?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Gregg?
Yes.
Harwick Smith?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
And Packley.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution number 26-2024 has passed. Resolution number 27-2024.
A resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission, authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor as listed on the attached Exhibit A, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
This again is a resolution that we do near the end of every year. It's just us certifying our tax levies and sending them to the county auditor so they have record of what we are stating that we need to levy. Are there any questions or discussion this evening? Seeing none, I make a motion we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bringing resolution number 27-2024 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call for suspension, please.
Brian Huth?
Yes.
Creamer?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Gregg?
Yes.
Harwick Smith?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Packley?
Yes.
And Ray.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage, please.
Creamer?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Gregg?
Yes.
Harwick Smith?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Packley?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
And Brian Huth.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution number 27-2024 has passed. Item number 8, unfinished business. Item number 9, petitions and general communications.
Yes, we have a request for a transfer of a liquor license from Tamarkin Company doing business as Get Go number 3152, located at 2046 Lincoln Way East, Massillon, Ohio, 44646, to Get Go Operating LLC, doing business as Get Go Massillon number 3152, located at 2046 Lincoln Way East, Massillon, Ohio, 44646. Permit classes are C1 and C2 and is located in Ward 3.
Councilman Gregg, did you receive a copy?
I have, thank you.
Thank you. Number 10, bills, accounts, and claims.
Yes, we have a bill in the amount of $807.20, which is for the publication of our July and August ordinances payable to local IQ Gannett. And we also have a bill on that invoice in the amount of $111.68, excuse me, for the publication of the NOPEC Notice of Public Hearing, which will be reimbursed to us from NOPEC. And we also have a bill in the amount of $118.80 payable to Bonnie's Engravers Gallery for nameplates and a rubber stamp for the amount and total amount of $1,107.68.
Councilman Lewis,
Yes, I make a motion we pay the bills.
second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call, please.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Gregg?
Yes.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Hackley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
and Creamer.
Yes.
8 yes to pay the bills.
The clerk will pay the bills and charge them to the proper accounts. Item number 11, reports from city officials.
Yes, we have the mayor's report for September 2024.
Item number 12, reports of committees. Our next work session will be Monday, October 28th, 2024, at 6:30 PM. Item number 13, resolutions and requests of council members. Item number 14, call of the calendar. Ordinance number 75-2024.
Ordinance number 75, -2024 was tabled on September 16th, 2024 until October 21st, 2024. And it is an ordinance amending Section 509.1, noise making and noise amplifying devices variances under Chapter 509, disorderly conduct and peace disturbance of Part 5, General Offenses Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Massillon, Ohio.
To look like. So it's consistent across the board before we start reaching out and getting quotes from companies. So I think we need to have a clear definition of what we want to take place for this study. Thank you.
Councilman Ray.
Yes, I did go in to receive the estimates. Thank you, President.
Yes, sir.
With that in mind, we had that completely covered, but by them being the specialists who conduct the study, they would know which businesses to test or to gather the information so that we could create the baseline. So what they would do is go to, the certain areas and certain residential areas and take their readings, and all they would be providing us with is a baseline. By taking a view at, because I've emailed both of them our ordinance that we wrote, and actually the D.H. Kaiser, Bill Kaiser, said that he was the guy who wrote this one for Canton. So he would be more prone to have an understanding as to what we would be needing in all these areas. Thank you.
Councilwoman Creamer.
So just to clarify, they will be submitting their quotes and they will define the criteria that they were going to use. Two different companies may have two different sets of criteria. We look at the low bid and, we come to find out after we accept that low bid that they're only going to take one reading per 24 hours for a company that's open 24/7 versus the other company that may be higher in price, but they're going to be having more of an extensive study, like multiple reads throughout the day, multiple days of the week. So I guess we're going to have to just compare apples to apples to have a better understanding what these companies are going to do for us and choose moving forward. Just my thought.
Councilwoman Cunningham.
Okay, it'll be tabled indefinitely till we get the studies. Oh, sorry. I make a motion that we table ordinance number 75, 2024 indefinitely.
Second by Councilman Lewis. Can I get a roll call, please?
Gregg,
Yes.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Hackley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
and Cunningham.
Yes.
8 yes to table ordinance number 75 indefinitely.
Thank you.
And may I say something real quick, Mr. President? As far, Mrs. Harwick Smith, as far as the quote and how we would appropriate that, I think this would kind of fall under, like we did our sound system. We did that on our own through Claudette, so he would have to enter into the agreement since it's our entity.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Number 15, third reading ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 81-2024.
An ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of Massillon, Ohio by rezoning certain properties from B-1 Local Business District and RM-1 Multiple Family Residential to B-3 General Business District.
Councilwoman Kramer?
Thank you, Mr. President. There's 5 parcels under consideration for rezoning, which are located on First Street Northeast. The parcels are owned by CJ Mack Enterprise LLC. The proposed use is a car sales lot. There will be a public hearing on November 4th at 6:15 here in council chambers. So with that said, I would like to make a motion to table ordinance number 81-2024 until November 4th.
Second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call, please.
Hardwick Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Packley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yep.
Brian Huth, Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
8 yes to table ordinance number 81-2024 until November the 4th, 2024.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 82-2024.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC, and execute and deliver the agreement establishing NOPEC and approving the bylaws of NOPEC.
Councilwoman Brian Huth.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance and ordinance number 83-2024 go hand in hand. We did hold 2 public hearings this afternoon, one at 3 p.m. and one at 6 p.m. They were not attended by any community folks voicing any concerns, pro or con. We do have Safety Service Director Renee Baker here. You want to come on up? If anybody has any additional questions before we bring this forward, we're on 3rd reading this evening. Mr. Lewis?
Councilman Lewis.
Yes, Ms. Baker, I know that some council members have mentioned, I don't know if they've mentioned directly to you, so if not, I'll do so. Have there been efforts made to bring the current broker to council to discuss what they would be offering in a renewal?
So I have mentioned to individual council members that that is possible. I just did not invite them to any yet. They'd be willing to as well. I just did not feel it was appropriate necessarily to invite them to a council when I'm proposing legislation for somebody different. I thought that was a little awkward, but I most certainly would do that if that's what's recommended, or they also offer to answer any other questions that you might have of them.
My opinion is that given some of the sentiment that I've heard come through these chambers, that, and please, council, I'm just speaking from what I'm hearing, so tell me if I'm hearing you incorrectly, that might be appreciated, and if so, then our best course of action may be a 2-week table, so that can happen. But I don't want to speak for anybody, that's what my understanding is.
Councilman.
I would appreciate that. It doesn't hurt to have 2 options, potentially 2 options.
Councilman Gregg.
I think I would support that as well. But are we in any type of time crunch on making this decision?
So, I mean, honestly, 2 weeks is not going to make a difference, that big of a difference. I mean, I did not have emergency language. That's why I brought it forward when I did, so that we had plenty of time to make that decision. I would just ask that you let me know, like, if you want them at work session, and maybe prepare them a little bit for what they're coming for and what may be asked of them, because, I mean, they know that obviously I've looked elsewhere, but I don't know that they necessarily know we brought legislation forward, or anything like that. So I want them to be prepared as to why they're coming and what's expected.
Councilwoman Creamer?
I just did some research on the PUCO site, and I saw different vendors, and I know consultants, ICS and with NOPEC, but I saw contracted prices, 9-month, 12-month, and 24-month prices on the PUCO website. So I guess that's kind of where I'm trying to determine where we're going to fall, because there are some prices, with that extended term. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Gregg?
I was just going to say, I think given the fact we don't have a time crunch, that it's probably due diligence that we should undertake to hear another opinion, another quote. So it's not a quote, but another presentation, let's say, of what else could be offered. Thank you.
Councilwoman Harvick Smith?
I just want to clarify too, the agreement that we're in, because NOPEC is in current contracts now, and when ours runs out in July, if we do something, it would only be for 6 months until they negotiate, so then we won't know. Like, we'd be getting in, I don't know, maybe the lady from NOPEC, she's still here. She could maybe answer that. I'm just wondering, like, where we would stand. I mean, so if we go for them and it's only for 6 months, because we'd be getting in on the existing one, or like she said, we're not locking in for an extended period. But I do think it would be beneficial too, just to hear with our previous ones what they would have to offer, just to have a comparison.
Understood. Brenda is here. She might be able to answer the 6-month time thing a little bit better. If you want to come up, Brenda. Basically, they're always looking at the rates, and which kind of helps that you can actually get it lower than after that 6 months. But she can talk better for that.
Thank you. The way that it works, NOPEC has 240 communities, and so we put the opt-outs to all the communities at the same time. And they all end at the same time, and then the opt-outs go back out. So it's this ongoing 3-year cycle. That's the maximum term that you can have for an opt-out period for electricity. So what happens is ours is coming up in January of 2026 for the 3-year opt-out for everybody. So if you joined in July of 2025, your term would be through the balance of the remaining term with NOPEC for that 3 years.
Which would only be 6 months.
Correct. Okay. And then a brand-new opt-out would go out in January for the next 3 years with a new price.
So the MAP rate's already established for the remaining 6 months, right? So do you have that rate right now?
I don't have that rate right now, no. No one has that rate because starting in July of this coming year, 2025, remember we talked about how everyone's going to see an increase no matter what? That's why you're not seeing a lot of rates starting in July. It is. When you go out for an aggregation program, your current one, you signed a 4-year agreement, but you had a 3-year opt-out during that term. And then you went for another 1-year opt-out. So the maximum you can do is 3 years. It doesn't mean you have to do 3 years. There may be other terms that are better, that are cheaper, but most aggregations go out for a 3-year term, because that way you only have to mail to all the participants one time, and you've got that mailing fee.
Councilman Harvey Smith?
Thank you. So if there's 6 months left and everybody's in a current 3-year, or everybody in your group is in a current 3-year term, why wouldn't, for that last 6 months, we get the same rate that they're getting in that current return?
You will.
So why is it so high then that we were looking at, like, when you were giving us those numbers and that it could be up to 8.5 or more?
That starts in
July.
July.
Talking about in June?
Yes, it starts for the next year.
In June.
June 2025 through July 2026. But what we're talking about is you would join May, June, and then you'd fall into that next period where everybody's going to be high. That's the period we don't know the price for.
Even though you guys, everybody else in your thing are in it for 6 months at a lower fixed rate, just like we're with a different company at a fixed rate right now?
Right. Well, what's going to happen?
I was just wondering, like, why, if you guys are at that, like, for 6 months, why couldn't you roll us over into the same program as everyone else at the lower rate they're getting? And then when things go up in 25 or 26, then we'd be at that point.
You will get the exact same rate that everyone else gets. We only have one rate that every community gets across NOPEC. But what happens with the NOPEC price is it resets every 6 months. So when we're looking at our current rate of 6.49, that goes through December of this year, and it's already been announced that it goes through May of next year. But we don't have the rate that starts May through the end of the year. That's the one we're talking about, that you would fall in under that rate. So I don't have that rate right now. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but
Okay.
when would you have it then? Not till,
They're looking at it. They're looking at it now. They're trying to minimize it. And as Renee mentioned, we're going out every single day in the marketplace and buying low-cost power when we can get it, so that we can avoid as high a bump as we're hoping to keep that low.
and if we lock in with you, how long would the term be?
Again,
Will be 6 months, 12 months, 2 years?
well, the way it goes is we ask that communities join for whatever the opt-out period would be. So if the opt-out period is 3 years, your commitment would be 3 years. But really, in your situation, it would be for 6 months, to be perfectly honest, because you would join in June of 2025, and then you would have the opportunity for January of 2026 to say, I want to do something different.
Councilwoman Kramer?
Okay. So let's talk about January 2026. So it's a 3-year opt-out agreement.
Probably, yes.
Did you state that there was increases every 6 months?
No.
In these agreements, or is it a fixed rate for 3 years?
The rate can change every 6 months. That's the way that the NOPEC process works.
So it's
is
not
that
fixed?
It's not fixed. It is not fixed. And we do that so that we avoid having a rate that is set higher than the market. Typically, or a lot of times what has happened with aggregation programs is they've gone upside down because they lock in a low rate or they lock in a rate for 3 years, and then because the price to compare can wildly adjust, a lot of programs have ended up where their residents are paying more because they locked in a long-term rate. Right now, that's a little different because the pricing is a little odd. So what we're definitely doing is looking at, are we going to do a 3-year? Are we going to do a 2-year? Are we going to do a 1-year? Because there's a lot of things going on in the regulatory market that may push us to a 1-year because of the way that FERC is deciding how to handle this capacity issue. So it's not locked in right now that it's going to be a 3-year term going forward. And I think when you hear from the other consulting firm, if you want to do that, is they will probably tell you it might be a 1-year contract because there's so much uncertainty. And it's not just for NOPEC, it's for every supplier. Everyone's facing exactly the same thing. And what we're trying to do is buy power now low so we can avoid that really steep ramp up that will happen in June of next year.
Councilman Brian Huth?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Safety Service Director Baker and Mrs. Fargo. In light of the continued conversation this evening, I would like to make a motion to table this resolution. We'll continue discussion at work session.
I get a second, please. Councilman Lewis?
Sorry, technicality.
Yes,
Would you like to table that to the 4th of November?
Yes, please.
I second that.
Okay, thank you. I get a roll call, please.
Lewis,
Yes.
Hackley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Harvick Smith.
Yes.
8 yes to table ordinance number 82 until November 4th, 2024.
Ordinance number 83-2024.
An ordinance approving the plan of operation and governance of the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC Electricity Aggregation Program for the purpose of jointly establishing and implementing an electricity aggregation program.
Councilman Brian Huth?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to table this ordinance as well till November the 4th.
Second by Councilman Lewis. Roll call, please.
Packley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardwick Smith,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
8 yes to table ordinance number 83-2024 until November 4th, 2024.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mhm.
Ordinance number 84-2024.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor and the director of public service and safety of the city of Massillon, Ohio, to accept and enter into a collective bargaining agreement between AFSCME, Ohio Council 8, Local 996, AFL-CIO, Streets and Parks Department, and the city of Massillon, Ohio, effective April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2027, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Gregg.
Thank you, Mr. President. This legislation, as well as 85-2024 and 86-2024, all deal with collective bargaining agreements with our city unions. First one, 84-2024, is the Streets and Parks Department. I plan to move this forward for a vote. If there's any discussion, we would need to go to executive session. No questions, no discussion? We're at third reading, so I move that we bring ordinance number 84-2024 forward for a vote.
Can I get a second, please? Second by Councilman Hardwick Smith. Roll call, please.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardwick Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Packley.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 84-2024 has passed. Ordinance number 85-2024.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor and the director of public service and safety of the city of Massillon, Ohio, to accept and enter into a collective bargaining agreement between AFSCME, Ohio Council 8, Local 996, AFL-CIO, Wastewater Treatment Department, and the city of Massillon, Ohio, effective April 1, 2024 through March 31st, 2027, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Gregg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Likewise, I move that we bring ordinance number 85-2024 forward for a vote.
Second, please. Second by Councilman Hardwick Smith. Roll call, please.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardwick Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Packley,
Yes.
and Ray.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 85-2024 has passed. Ordinance number 86-2024.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor and the director of public service and safety of the city of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into a collective bargaining agreement with the Massillon FOP Henderson Lodge Police Officers Association, Blue Unit, effective July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Gregg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we bring ordinance number 86-2024 forward for a vote.
Second, please, by Councilman Brian Huth. Roll call, please.
Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardwick Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Packley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
and Brian Huth.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 86-2024 has passed. Item number 16, second reading ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 89-2024.
An ordinance repealing Section 2 of Ordinance Number 15, 2019, and enacting a new Section 2D occupation list of class titles of Ordinance Number 127-1997, Section 85, Community Development Planning Department in the city of Massillon, Ohio.
Councilman Gregg.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance is requesting to change the description, job description, Community Development Administrative Assistant to Community Development Coordinator. It's been given a reading. Any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, I move that we waive the rules requiring 3 readings and bring ordinance number 89-2024 forward for a vote.
Second, please. Councilman Howard Smith. Roll call, please, for suspension.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Hackley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
and Creamer.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage, please.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Hackley,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
and Cunningham.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 89-2024 has passed. Ordinance number 99-2024.
An ordinance repealing ordinance number 31-2011, which establishes procedures to determine the lowest and best bid for the construction of public improvements in the city of Massillon, Ohio, and to allow the use of project labor agreements for the construction of certain public improvements in the city of Massillon, Ohio.
Councilman Lewis.
Second reading.
Ordinance number 99-2024 has received its second reading. Item number 17, remarks of delegations and citizens to matters not on the agenda. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on a topic which did not appear on tonight's agenda? If so, please come forward. State your name, the ward you live in, the topic you wish to discuss, and please limit your comments to 4 minutes or less.
Yes, sir. My name's Michael Anthony Mitchell, former resident at 135 Wales Road. Now I'm homeless. I've been homeless since February when my landlord there terminated my lease in the middle of winter, told me to vacate his property, and I paid my rent every month on time like I was supposed to. And I'm in the criminal network system now for loitering violation. Massillon police arrested me, put me in jail for 1 day. This is a couple of weeks ago, and because of that, I got a criminal record now with Massillon, and I got a perfect U.S. Navy record. I was served on the USS New Jersey, battleship, U.S. Navy's most decorated warship, and I'm a graduate of Massillon City Schools. And I went right in the U.S. Navy in 1982 and never came back till it'll be 4 years this January. And I lived in Alma, Michigan, and I owned a trailer there, and I sold it for a loss to move down here because I was tired of Michigan, and they screwed me over, took my right to drive away permanently, and I haven't had a license since 2014, and I just am sad, that Massillon police kind of picked on me because being homeless. One officer told me to leave the state or leave the city of Massillon when they came and approached me when I was sleeping on the benches downtown Massillon. And before, when I lived on Wales Road, I used to ride my pedal bike downtown Massillon. Never had any problems with Massillon police telling me to leave or violation of ordinance, local ordinance. I just want to know why they passed that law, because they were discriminating on homeless people, I think, and it's not right. I worked on the mental health field in Michigan for over 8 years on the executive board for Gratiot County Mental Health. We made the financial decisions. And people with mental illnesses, have problems, sometimes. And I know the issues were they used to defecate in public, some of people. But I was always kept my place in order. And I'm homeless because of my landlord, Reinhardt, I used to rent from. And he was my landlord for 3.5 years. And he did me injustice by telling me to leave his property and terminating my lease. And I don't think it's right. And because of that, I go in front of a judge tomorrow for this loitering law violation. And, I'm going to be fined $500, I believe, by the city, which I don't mind if it's real or was I picked on. And then another Massillon police officer approached me by the Massillon post office where I have a P.O. box and get my mail every month. And he told me move on from the place where I was sitting. And I don't think that's right, just because I'm homeless, and it's not right, and I'm just bringing it up to the city, and I don't think that ordinance should be in effect. I think they should rescind it, for people like me. It's not my reason I'm homeless. I paid my rent. I did, he committed fraud by kicking me out, that landlord did. And, it's just not right, And because of that, I'm sleeping on the ground out there in Perry Township. And I told some people Perry Township because of this ordinance, which I'm in a limbo about because doesn't say on the law that there's certain hours you can't be in downtown Massillon and sit on the benches. That's why I thought those benches were for to sit down. But yet I got arrested and told to go to jail because I was sitting on a bench and I wasn't even sleeping. I was just sitting up. That's not right. I just wanted to voice my opinion.
Sure you sign in.
Oh, thank you. And I just wanted to thank you guys for all you do for our community. I hope that something's done because I don't deserve having a criminal record when I had a perfect Navy record, 6 years in the Navy, and having my license suspended in Michigan permanently, so I can't drive, it's not right.
Councilman Cunningham?
Thank you, President Slater. We all know what week this is, and if you don't, Mr. Gregg and I would be glad to tell you about it, but I want to give a shout out to the Tigers. Go Tigers, and now Mr. Gregg would like to say a word or two.
Mr. Gregg.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. Yeah, I'm never shy about saying a word or two about the Tigers, but they played a great game this past Friday against Warren Harding, our second longest rivalry team, and they got a big game coming up obviously Saturday, and all I want to say is go Tigers.
Go Tigers, beat McKinley. Yes, sir.
May I?
Yes, sir.
Quick comment, I'm a resident, so I have to go over to that side, but.
That's okay. You're all right.
Because we had a special night tonight, I just wanted to bring a couple things to council's attention. Thank you, JD. Wanted to bring a couple of things to you guys' attention, President, Council. You may or may not have seen the council, so there have been some news articles about Canton City Council and some text messages, maybe emails, between council members that create a quorum. And certainly, all meetings of deliberation where you're deciding on what you should vote on should be public. This is a public meeting, and we have to follow those rules. And it kind of leads me into the second thing, so I just want everybody to be mindful of that. If you are discussing council business, you certainly can do it one-on-one. When you kind of look around and you're like, well, I'm in this committee with these 2 or 3 people. If you have a quorum in that meeting, you shouldn't be doing that. So you can talk to a person individually, but don't hear it from me, hear it from the Attorney General. I wanted to remind everybody that Section 109.43 requires everybody that's either elected or appointed, Mr. Packley, 109.43 public records training programs for the model public records policy essentially requires everybody to go to sunshine training within your 2 years. Okay? Is there any questions about that? Yes, sir. Yep, no questions? Go Tigers.
Councilman Packley? You're up. I get a second,
Make a
please.
motion to adjourn?
Second by Councilman Brian Huth. Roll call, please.
Harwick Smith,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Packley,
Yes.
Ray,
Oh, no. No, yes.
Brian Huth,
Yes.
Reamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
8 yes to adjourn.